looking for, in year two of, having that receiver role?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I'm looking for is the competitive nature in our group. We're having some new young kids in here, and then having the guys that we got back. We got some guys healthy finally. Colin Jackson's finally healthy, man, and really excited to see him and see what he can bring to the table. And I think my group's a lot closer than it's ever been. We got good relationships with the kids, and the kids got good relationships with us, and the kids are bought into the culture. But the number one thing for me is the competitiveness, man. When you got competition in a room, especially at receiver, and people know that they can't have a bad day because somebody will take their job, it makes everybody in the room better.
Talk about Jordan Jones. How much will you lean on him, Coach? He's kind of the older guy in the room, but how much will you expect from him to kind of help out the younger guy?
Yeah, Jordan and I have had that conversation. I only have one senior in Dion Stewart, and then Jordan and Davion. Those are my next two oldest guys, man. So it's my challenge to them is, hey, man, listen, this time for you to. It's not about somebody else leading this group. It's time for you to step up. It's time for you to be the leader and take that leadership role. So really excited for him to have that opportunity and for him to bring it every single day. Being consistent and his work ethic and being a leader for our group.
Having Trey and Shamar, two guys that you coveted, all season, to have them here and go through spring ball, what do you think that will do? Like I said, having competition, what does that do to that room when you look over and have two freshmen that are hungry to get playing time?
Well, I think the number one thing is I think all those guys respect, the work ethic those guys have brought in here the first 3 weeks they've been here. Well, I guess it's mid-January. It's for our older guys and the guys that have been here to see how hard those kids work. I mean, Shamar and Trey are two of the most competitive people I've ever been around. It don't matter if you're playing a game of horse or what you're doing, man. Those two jokers are trying to win. And we got really good competitive kids in there now. And it's just like I said a minute ago, man. When you got competition and you can't have a bad day because somebody's going to take your job, but at the same time, man, pushing each other and helping each other. It ain't about, hey, man, I'm trying to win a job. I ain't trying to help you. That's been the great thing for me as the position coach is to see those older kids be so towards Shamar and towards Trey and really putting our arm around them and helping them out because, man, it's hard. I can't imagine. It was hard for me to leave to go to college in August when I did it. I couldn't imagine doing it in January in the middle of the year. So to see those older guys really take those guys underneath their wings, man, and help them out has been really cool.
Coming in a year ago, Coach, you've done quite the recruiting. What have you learned, in the SEC that you can take out on the recruiting, and sell to the kids?
Yeah, well, first off is that we're recruiting against. It's the best of the best, So kind of like the same thing we tell our kids, man. You can't have a bad day. You can't have a bad day in recruiting. If you ain't talking to them, somebody is. They're hearing from somebody every day. So it's just being relentless, man, and just building those relationships and you hope that your relationship is good enough to give you that chance in the end. I think the unique thing about the University of Arkansas is getting kids here. If we can get a kid here, Shamar and Trey will tell you too. Those two suckers put me off 2 trips in a row, and then they finally got over here, and it was enough to where okay, I liked it. I'm gonna go back, and then they came back and checked it out, and obviously everything worked out, man. But I think building the relationship and Coach Brad Scott at Clemson told me one time, he said, man, you can't ever be naive enough to think the kid ain't going to tell you no. But if he's going to tell you no, it's going to be you make it the hardest thing that kid's ever had to do. And I've been told no before. But recruiting in this league, you got to take your game to a whole nother level every day.
Top 25 recruiter. Talk about that honor, Coach, and just what does that mean, to you, and your career?
Well, I'm obviously honored. There's some guys on there that have been doing this a long time. I see a guy like Jeff Scott, who I GA for Clemson. But, man, I didn't recruit these kids by myself. We, obviously being the position for us, when the kid's offered, the position recruiter pretty much takes over. But, when a kid calls in on offense, man, we pass them around. I can't tell you how many nights in the fall we're FaceTiming and we're passing the phone around to every single coach in the room. Coach Craddock being the OC helps, and then Coach Morris being the relentless recruiter that he is as a head coach. And, TQ Jackson, when we signed him, and Jeff Traylor doing the job he did with him, man. So it's a village. I said it earlier today. It takes a village to recruit all these kids, man, and just putting enough people around them, man. Hey, man, he may not – telling me no might not be hard, but telling somebody else no, trying to make it where you make it the hardest thing these kids have ever had to do to tell you no.